Good evening. We are having some technical difficulties tonight, so we're going to try to work this out. So give me a sec. It's really weird because I can hear myself talking, and it's kind of strange, but we're going to make this work. And hopefully, we won't be freezing. We tried to use Facebook Live, that didn't work. Um, so hopefully, this will work itself out. Hopefully, I can do what I need to do. Thank you for your patience. All right, let's see if this switches over to the presentation, and then I will get started. Okay, so once again, I did like this whole thing and then had to start over again, but at least this will live on YouTube. So welcome, my name is Candace Leos Valdepena. I am the founder and executive director of Compton Advocates Coalition. Our organization was founded in 2019. We are a grassroots organization focused on educating, activating, and empowering residents of not only Compton, but surrounding communities as well. Over the years, we've evolved, and now we are a trusted source of connection to resources, information, and workshops. We lead with solution-focused dialogue. So we not only talk about the problems, but we also talk about how we can find some solutions. And so, as someone who was born and raised in Compton, one of my goals is to see the city flourish like surrounding cities. And I do think that starts with residents getting connected and involved. So that's kind of my why. This has become a passion project for myself and for others. We all work for free. We don't get paid. Money that we have received from grants and other things, we have put that right back out into the community. And so over the years, those of you who have followed us know that we have supported community members with food, gift cards, these free workshops, and just a source like all kinds of other information and connection to resources. We keep an eye on kind of the pulse in the community and get feedback from residents, and then we try to find and plan programming that will benefit everyone. So at the heart of what we do, civic engagement, we believe that it transforms communities and people. There's a lot of apathy, there's a lot of disconnection, frustration, especially in the times that we are living through. And so I feel that when people understand how things work, they're more likely to get involved and feel empowered to step up and hold their leadership accountable. Ultimately, the power lies with the voters. And I think people need to understand that a little bit more. So elections can feel overwhelming, frustrating, confusing. Those are like the top three words. But I know there's probably a million other words that we could add into that. Um, from the top down, it's overwhelming. But please don't let that deter you from getting involved, because I do feel that that is part of the plan. Let's just wear people out so that they give up and they don't vote. So key dates, we're already at May 11th, so most people should have received their ballots already. Every registered voter in California should have received a vote by mail ballot. The last day to register to vote online or by mail for the primary election on June 2nd is May 18th. Early in-person voting starts in Voters' Choice Act counties on May 23rd. Expanded statewide early voting locations start on May 30th, and then June 2nd is Election Day. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you are still in line at 8 p.m. on Election Day, stay in line. If you are in line, they do have to take you and let you vote. I will also be sharing this presentation. So once I do, you'll be able to click on these links and do some research for yourself. So as mentioned, California automatically mails a ballot to every active registered voter. Same day voter registration is available at vote centers and county election offices after the May 18th deadline. They will just have to let you do your vote, verify that you're not voting twice or that there's some funny business going on, and then your vote will get counted along with everyone else's. And the third thing I will discuss in the upcoming slides. So one of the main questions I get is, who do I vote for? How do I know who to vote for? How do I research the candidates? As a 501c3, I cannot endorse candidates and I cannot tell people who to vote for, but I do my best to give you the tools so that you can do your research and make a vote that is good for you. An educated vote is a good vote to me. So Ballotpedia, CalMatters, Vote 411, these are interactive websites. I know Ballotpedia and Vote 411, you can punch in your address and it'll pull up the elections that are going to be shown on your ballot and you can do the research that way. CalMatters also has a quiz to know which governor candidate aligns with your ideals more. And then I found that Google is a great research tool. You punch in a candidate's name and see what pops up. Chat GPT is also pretty interesting. You can literally type in someone's name and controversies, and it'll pull up if they've been involved in anything weird over the years. So please use all of those tools. They're free. So an important USPS update. So as of December 24th, 2025, USPS postmarks now reflect the date mail is processed, not the day you drop it off. And so if you're waiting until election day to drop off your ballot at the post office, it may not get the postmark for that day unless you go inside and request a same day postmark. But with the advent of ballot drop boxes, there really isn't a need to use the post office. So if you're going to do that, I would advise to do it 2 weeks plus, or use a ballot drop box, or if you're a traditional person, you can go in person and still vote. I've done both. Another note, I heard some misinformation at a council meeting a few weeks ago where someone was questioning why we needed ballot drop boxes or voting centers outside of Compton specifically. You can vote anywhere in LA County now. So if you work in Montebello and you live in Compton or you live in another city, you can still vote at any vote center within LA County. You can drop off your ballot at any secure drop box in LA County. So we no longer have the limitation of the old days where you had to go to your assigned precinct and vote there. You have the freedom to vote anywhere in LA County. You can look up locations and more information at lavote.gov. It is a great tool to have. So I'm going to quickly show in-person voting sites. And like I said, I will share this presentation in our link tree and in our files so that you could pull it up and look for yourself. But you can go to lavote.gov for that info. So some of the locations, I included Carson, Gardena, Linwood, Paramount, just because they're local, but in Compton, you have in-person voting sites that are going to be at Burrell McDonald Park, City Banquet Hall on Long Beach Boulevard, Compton College, First United Methodist Church, NA Archdiocese Unitarian Universal Church, Bunch Middle School, Kennedy Elementary, Salon Del Rey, Wilson Park. So you have a lot of options to choose from if you choose to go vote in person. The hours are also listed here. So if you are a traditional voter and you like the going to the vote center and voting in person, these are the places that you would go. But like I said, you could go anywhere in LA County. So ballot box sites. These are the location of ballot boxes in the area. I included Carson and Compton. So in Compton, the Compton Library has always had a ballot drop box. East Rancho Dominguez Library, they have a drop box, and Gonzalez Park has a drop box. These are 24-hour. They are secure. I know there's a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff that people say about these drop boxes. These are operated by the LA County Register Recorder, not by the city of Compton or Carson or any other city. The Register Recorder's office are the ones who pick up, and they have really good security measures in place to make sure that your ballot is not tampered with. I have used the ballot drop box and I've never had a problem. So like I said, this program started in 2017. These are safe. They are bolted into the cement, or they're chained. They have state regulated security features. There is a regular pickup by 2 election workers, and the county works with law enforcement to safeguard all boxes. So make sure your ballot is sealed, it's signed, and place it in the ballot drop box. If you see something suspicious, please report it. There are numbers on the box. So one thing that is available, and I have signed up for this, is ballot tracks. This thing will tell you when they mailed your ballot, that it's on the way. I think I received like 5 texts and emails before I even got my ballot. Once you complete your ballot and put it in the Dropbox or go vote at a vote site, it will update you and tell you that your vote has been received. So you can track your ballot. If it's missing, if it hasn't got there in a couple of days, you can always call the Register Recorder's office to get help with that. But this is just another security measure so you can track where your ballot is. And you could visit the website. You can do this on lavote.gov as well. So I get a lot of questions about what is legal and what's not. And so I did a ton of research on some things that I have been getting calls about. I wanted to make sure that I got all the information possible. And so I'm going to go through a few of those things now, and hopefully that will be helpful for you. You can always call the Register Recorder's office as well and ask them questions. I had to do that on a couple of things just to make sure that I was sharing the right information. So electioneering and ballot collection in California. So electioneering is attempting to influence a voter's decision near voting activity or through improper pressure, incentives, or campaigning. So no one should be pressuring you to vote a certain way. They shouldn't be offering you gifts or benefits tied to voting. People should not be campaigning too close to voting locations or collecting ballots improperly. Or misleading voters about election rules. So you have the right to vote privately and independently, to return your ballot without coercion, to decline political pressure, receive accurate election information, and report suspicious election activity. No one should buy your vote, threaten your vote, or exchange rewards for your ballot or interfere with your ballot choices. So please, if someone is crossing this line boundary, please report them. And I will share information on where to report illegal activity later in the presentation. So the 100-foot restricted zone, when you're at a polling place, candidates and campaign workers must stay at least 100 feet away from the entrance to a polling place. They are not allowed to go in to campaign. At some locations, they do put tape on the ground to note that 100-foot mark. And I would also caution you to not wear campaign shirts or materials when you go to vote, because they could ask you to take it off, because that could be considered electioneering. So if you're within that 100 feet or less, they should not be telling you who to vote for or against. They shouldn't have signs, logos, campaign stuff on. They shouldn't be handing out campaign literature or flyers. No loitering, setting up campaign tables, that's all not good. If you see that, I would go into the polling place and report that to the workers. If they are outside of that 100 feet, they can do those things. They can hold signs, they can, talk to people, but that 100-foot mark, that is the key thing to look for. So another thing I get asked about is campaign flyers being placed in people's mailboxes. So in the United States, this federal law prohibits anyone other than United States postal employees placing unstamped material in your mailbox. So you should not see campaign flyers, business advertisements, door hangers in your mailbox, or community notices. They can leave the flyers at your door. They can tape them near your mailbox. They can hand them to you. They can put them on your fence, or they can pay to mail them through USPS, but they cannot put unstamped items in your mailbox. I would advise, I know some candidates have people working for them that don't always follow the rules. So I guess my first thing would be to contact the candidate and let them know that you received it in your mailbox, so that they know that the people that they hired or are working with are not following the law. So ballot harvesting is also something that comes up very often. I think in every election we have a conversation about this. So ballot harvesting is basically ballot collection. So it's the practice of a person. It could be an elected, somebody who's running for office. It could be their campaign crew coming to your house and offering to take your ballot for you, and submitting them on your behalf. So most of the time, you give it to a family member who's going to take all of the family ballots in, that's fine. So it is legal for people to do that, but there are parameters and laws that they have to follow when doing this. So we will go through that right now. So in LA County and throughout California, third-party ballot collection is legal. So you may authorize another person to take in your ballot. So family, friends, volunteers, campaign workers can return your ballot. They can return them to drop boxes, vote centers, or election officers. You don't need to be disabled or homebound to do this, but the voter must complete and seal the ballot. Collectors cannot tamper or alter your ballots. They must go into a drop box, like a legal drop box. And then the person who is taking your ballot has to sign the back of the ballot, and or the back of the envelope, saying that they are the people who take ownership of your ballot. If you don't need to do this outside of your family and trusted friends, I would drop off my ballot myself. I would never personally give my ballot to anyone, just to keep it 100 and not have to worry about what's happening to it. I would caution against someone, if you have not put your ballot in the envelope or you haven't completed it, if someone's asking to help you complete your ballot or coercing you into who to vote for, that's problematic. And I would report that if I were in that situation. So in California, anyone returning a ballot for another voter must provide specific information on the envelope. So the collector's name. On the envelope, it doesn't ask for the relationship, so I want to correct that information. But you do have to put your full name and your signature in the authorized person section. The voter must authorize this person to take their ballot. They cannot pay you for your ballot. They can't tamper with your ballot. You must sign your own envelope. So if you look here, this is the back of the ballot. So your information goes in that top red section. Your name and your address will be printed in the section where I have it written. You will sign, you will date, and then in the bottom, if someone is taking your ballot in for you, I would have them print their name and sign that just as someone who's authorized to take your ballot. The signature on your main envelope, your signature in the red box, has to match the voter registration record on file. But as I've said, when possible, just return your own ballot to just ensure that there's maximum security and privacy. So let me make sure I'm on the right. So incentives and voting laws, I do get questions on this. So in California, a candidate generally cannot offer event tickets in exchange for ballots or votes. This is illegal. So bring your ballot for concert tickets, turn in a ballot for admission, vote for me for VIP access, vote buying, election bribery, unlawful inducement. That is illegal. So I just want to point that out. Campaigns can host free rallies or community events that are open to the public, distribute merchandise without requiring a vote or a ballot, encourage voting without offering compensation, provide lawful transportation to the polls. So there should never be a tie between money, gifts, admission prizes, or benefits to voting activity or ballot return. It should never, never be like that. Conditioning the benefit on election participation is unlawful, even if the ballot is sealed. So these are the California election statutes. So paying for votes, like I mentioned, prohibits giving, receiving money or valuable consideration as a reward for voting, like turn in ballot for concert tickets, vote and receive admission, VIP access for proof of voting, penalty, felony prosecution. Bribery and influence prohibits bribery, intimidation, or corrupt means to influence behavior. So no one should be pressuring you to vote a certain way. Rights interference prohibits interfering with lawful voting processes, often used for intimidation, but can apply to corruption of the voting process frameworks. So, like I said, I will share this and you will be able to reference it, or you can watch this video again to reference this information. So lawful activities, again, free public rallies and events, shirts, buttons, or rides, encouraging turnout, critical quid pro quo, the line is crossed when a benefit is conditioned on voting or returning a ballot. And if you have a concern about something, you could always contact one of the authorities to get clarity or to report illegal behavior. These are the key contacts. So you have your California Secretary of State, your LA County Register Recorder, the FPPC and District Attorney, and then you make sure you keep a documentation of the flyers, text messages, emails, screenshots of online ads or RSVP info, witness statements, photos or videos, date, time, location, and staff names. So always document if you are the victim of something like this. So we're going to go right into this election. The ballot is thick, especially when it comes to the governor. So it's really important to understand what each of these roles are responsible for. So you have your governor who leads California's executive branch, signs, vetoes laws, proposes the state budget, and appoints officials. And then you have your lieutenant governor who acts as a backup governor and serves on state boards and commissions. You have your attorney general who enforces state laws and oversees the California DOJ. Secretary of State, very important role, oversees elections, voter registration, and business filings. And then you have your state treasurer, your state controller, your insurance commissioner, superintendent of public instruction. In the legislative, you have your state senators, your state assembly members, your U.S. representatives. And then your judicial branch, your Supreme Court and Court of Appeal justices, your Superior Court judges, and then local government, you have your county supervisors, your school board members, and city council, city officials. I don't jump into the judges in this presentation because it's a lot, but I would encourage you to go research those for yourself. There are a lot of organizations that have like voter guides. And so I would encourage you to look at a couple of them and compare the information that they provide so that you can make an educated vote. So we're going to start at the top. These are your candidates for governor. So you could see this is page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. There are 61 official candidates. I think with Swalwell dropping out, it might be 60. But with all of that said, there are 10 major contenders. So those are the ones that you're going to see at the debate and forums. These folks are running for the June 2nd primary, where the top 2 are going to go to November. And we have a top 2 primary system. So all candidates run on the same ballot regardless of party. So the top 2 vote getters advance to the November election. So you could see 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, a Democrat and a Republican. We don't know what's going to happen, but these are the top 10. So you have Javier Becerra, Katie Porter, Tom Steyer, Antonio Villaraigosa, Matt Mahan, Tony Thurmond, Steve Hilton, and Chad Bianco. And I think the top 2 pollers right now are Steve Hilton and Javier Becerra. So it's going to be interesting. So for lieutenant governor, these are the candidates. I'm not going to go through every single candidate. You can go to Vote 411 and pull these all up and do your research, or Ballotpedia. Like I said, I will share this presentation, and so you'll be able to see it that way as well. For Secretary of State, there are 4 individuals running. Shirley Weber is our current Secretary of State, and she is running for re-election. Our controller, there are 3 people running for that position. For treasurer, you have 6 candidates. I believe Eleni Kunalakis, sorry if I butchered that name, I believe she is our incumbent. And then California Attorney General, you have 3 candidates. Rob Bonta is our current Attorney General. For Insurance Commissioner, you have 3, 6, 9, 11 candidates. You will notice our former Senator, Stephen Bradford, is running for this position in this round. For the Board of Equalization, you have quite a few candidates again. You will notice that our current Assembly member, Mike Gibson, is running for the Board of Equalization. He did term out as the Assembly member for District 65. And so he is now running for the Board of Equalization. For Congress, District 43, our current representative is Maxine Waters. She is running for re-election, and there's a total of 4 candidates running for that seat. Now we're going to jump into county and local. For Assembly District 65, which is the one that Mike Gibson currently holds, we have 6 candidates that are running for that spot. For assessor, we have 5 candidates. Jeffrey Prang is our current assessor. For the superintendent of education, these are your candidates. Some familiar names in here. For sheriff, so Robert Luna is our current sheriff. And these are the folks that are running against him. We've seen a lot of activity in this field. I've seen a lot of these folks coming out to debates and forums. And this is a really important one because it does deal with our public safety. So I would encourage you to do your research and vote wisely. So now we're going to jump into Compton City Council elections. For mayor, we have a few candidates here. Emma Sharif is our current mayor, and there are 4, 5, 6, 7 people running for mayor. Andre, they spelled Andre's name incorrectly. It's Andre Spicer. He is the current District 2 council person. He is now running for mayor. Inez Tootie Atkins, Omar Bradley Jr., Leroy Guillory, Anthony Moultrie, and Marlo Wilkinson are running for this spot. I will say the mayor is kind of a ceremonial position. I want to make sure people understand how this works. Compton is based on a weak mayor system. So it is a council city manager setup where every council member, including the mayor, has one vote. So the mayor in Compton cannot veto, cannot like go over people's heads. They are one vote just like everyone else on the dais. District 2, these are your candidates. There are some familiar names in here. I would encourage you to do your research, reach out, ask questions, and make the choice that you feel is best for you and your family. District 3, we have Jonathan Bowers, who is our current council person, and Randy Hook, Randy Randall, I know him as Randy. He is running against Mr. Bowers. For city clerk, we have Lynn Boone running against Satra Zarita, who is the current city clerk. For treasurer, we have Maxwell Burke, who is running against our current treasurer, Brandon Mims. And now we'll get into the school district elections. So I will say that even if you do not have a child in the school district elections do affect you as well, whether it be through bonds or whatnot. It's important to pay attention to these items as well. Let me make sure I'm good on my notes. So we have area A that's up. If you go to our link tree, we do have a resident resource guide and an election resource guide. And those give you the maps for the council, for the school district, and for the college district. So you could look up and figure out, where you fall on that map. The other indicator is you will see one of these on your ballot if you are in one of the areas. If you don't see any of these people on your ballot, then you don't live in the area to vote on that position. So Denzel Perry, he is our current board of trustee member. He is running unopposed, so he will be elected again. Area B, we have 2 people running, former Compton Councilwoman Tana McCoy and former board member May Thomas. They are running for Area B. Area E, you have Tanya Kraft Perry and current board member Alma Taylor Pleasant. And then Area G, you have Satra Zarita, who is also our Compton City Clerk. She is running unopposed, so she will be reelected into that position. And I'm going to get into the measures. So LA County, you're going to see Measure ER on your ballot. A yes vote supports increasing sales tax for 5 years to provide funding for local health departments and services. A no vote is an opposition to that. So a simple majority vote is required for the approval of Measure ER. Now, I will say Compton's current tax rate is 10.75%. If this passes, it will go up to 11.25%. And what we talked about in the meeting on Saturday is that a lot of folks go out of Compton to purchase goods because the sales tax is lower in other cities. And so this is something to really think about. I think one of the red flags for me with this measure is that the funding goes into the general fund. And when funding goes into a general fund, that's always a little concerning. But please do your research and vote accordingly. I'm sure there are pros and cons out there that you can read. I did research cities surrounding us. So Carson's current tax rate is 10.50. Paramount is also 10.50. Gardena is also 10.50. The people in Gardena are going to have to vote on Measure GG and ER. And if both of those pass, their rate is going to go up to 11.25%. So they have two measures on their ballot that are potentially going to affect their taxes. The other thing you're going to see is Measure CPT, which is Compton Unified School District. They always write these so nicely, but a yes vote supports issuing $360 million in bonds and levying a property tax of $60 per 100,000 in assessed value to fund the repair and improvement of public school facilities. A 55% vote is required to approve this measure. Compton Unified, this will be the third bond that is placed on the ballot. Measure S in 2015 passed. That funded the build of Compton High School. Measure AAA passed in 2022. That is designated for Centennial High School. And then Measure CPT is scheduled to handle Dominguez High School. That will be on your June 2nd ballot. That's 360 million in bonds. That is also going to be about $60 per 100,000 of value of your assessed value of your home. Now, I know they didn't use it is up to that amount. And I know for Compton High, they used 250 million of the 350 million on that bond. For Centennial, they're estimating it to cost about 225. However, these all pile up on each other if they pass. So your property tax is going to get hit. So the median home price in Compton is $645,000. This will affect new buyers more than the people who have had their homes for a really long time. But it is still money, and I do worry about our senior citizens that are on fixed incomes, and these property taxes tack on money and could potentially price people out because they can't pay their property taxes. And so if your assessed value of your home and your assessed value may be lower than, there's a whole thing by it, depending on how long you've had your home. But if you're at 645, that's $387 of tax times 3 if this next one passes. And so that is a lot of money. I had someone send me their property tax, and they are paying over $10,000 a year for property tax. And so you tack on another bond, it's a little worrisome. So I wanted to share this information with you. So how bond taxes work based on your assessed property value. You can go to the LA County Assessor's website and type in your address, and it'll tell you what your assessed property value is. So these bonds are paid annually through property taxes. Your typical repayment is 25 to 30 years. And some people say, I'm a renter, it doesn't matter. But I guarantee you, if your landlord's costs go up, you are going to get impacted through your rent. And so don't dismiss it that easy. It will still affect you. So your market value is what your home could sell for today. Your assessed value is the taxable value used by the county. So like I said, you can go to the LA County Assessor's website and look up the assessed value of your home. and you're going to pay for this for 20 to 40 years. So even if you're older and you pass away and leave the house to your children, it could affect them too. Now, on top of Compton Unified bonds, Compton College has also passed several bonds. So you have Measure CC in 2002, up to 100 million, Measure C in 2014, which is up to 100 million, and Measure CC, which passed in 2024 for 200 million. That all of those amounts, they add up on your property taxes. So I just, please pay attention, please do your research and gauge, how this is going to affect your bottom line. I will say that the college and the school district, their district lines do expand outside of the city of Compton. So there are folks in Carson and Paramount, and I believe Linwood, that also vote on these measures because there's some involvement there. You can see it when you look at the map. So what we do is we provide data and tools to help you in your journey. We have this thing called the Compton Files. Over the years, I've done public records requests. And what I ended up doing is putting all of this information into a Google Drive organized by whatever it is. So we have all the different city charters, the city manager, the resolution for the city manager with his contract information, your city budget, your district. Recently the topic of discussion has been this CalCard thing. If you go to the comptoncity.gov website, you can place an order for public records. It's a super easy system. It's online, and most records come back to you electronically. There's also an archive there, which contains some of the public record requests that people have requested over the past months. I was able to get the CalCard public records request information there, and I placed it into this drive so people could look for themselves, but it has all of the transactions or the statements from January through October, I believe. So you can look through, you can look at what people are talking about, you could form your own opinion. There is a lot of misinformation that goes through the community, and some of the information is also valid. So it's really, really easy to verify some of this information is true or false by doing a public records request, but we have tried to make it a little easier to access that information by putting our 7 years of public records requests and research into this Compton Files database. So please feel free to use it, and you can find the link on our link tree. This is our link tree. So if you go to our Instagram or our Facebook, in our bio, you will find the link to this. You click on it, and there's just a bunch of information and links in there. Please feel free to use it. I don't want it to go to waste, and I think it's beneficial for folks. And make sure to follow us. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, sorta. We're also on TikTok and Threads. TikTok, we're getting there, but Instagram and Facebook are our primary ways of sharing information. You can also visit us at comptonadvocates.org, and you can reach out to us at any time. You can DM us, you can email us at comptonadvocates@gmail.com. You can DM us on Instagram or Facebook, but we are here to serve and to help and provide connection to resources. I encourage you to do your research, to ask questions, and to not take third-party information at face value, even research what I tell you. But I do my best to stay rooted in truth and, help people become more informed, because it can be crazy out there. I also encourage you to vote. As you may know, Compton historically has very low voter turnout. I'm not sure what the numbers are right now on registered voters. I know the last time I checked, it was sitting at around 48,000. So roughly half of the residents of Compton are registered to vote. And then there have been years where we've seen 5,000 people get out to vote. So your vote is very important. We have seen people win by 20 votes, by 3 votes, by 1 vote, and we can't afford to have that happen. And so make sure you pay attention top down. The governor is a very important seat. They're all important. And so please let us know if there's anything we can do to support. We have our monthly community roundtables on the second Saturday of the month from 10 to 12. We know people are busy, but once a month, you can come, get connected, get your questions answered, and, you know, hopefully connect with other folks, maybe start a block club. And yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's been informational.